They're dependent on them to clothe them and for them to be educated. And you can't say your responsibility, I'm just outside working, somebody else is taking care of my daughter and I'm not noticing anything. You understand?
I understand, Your Honor, and I wish I did really know what was going on.
Here's the thing. Everybody wants little babies when they're born because they're so cute. So you had better reach out to your family because Child Protective Services is going to come knocking at the prison. So unless you have someone,
My aunt's taking care of my kids.
all right, so you need to let your aunt know. And the court is going to call 2023 CR 4168, State of Texas versus James Michael Cannady. And defense, if you all could move to that end. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Zach Dunn for the state, Your Honor.
Defense?
Anton Hayek. What did you ask me to do, Jim?
No, I'm asking your name.
Anton Hayek. I thought
Yeah.
you told me to move one way.
No.
Okay.
Okay. So Mr. Hayek, for the record, is representing Mr. Cannady. And are you James Michael Cannady?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You entered a plea to the offense of assault, intentionally knowing serious bodily injury of a child by omission. You entered a plea to a cap of 35 years in the prison. The state is opposing your application. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report, state?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
I've had a chance to review it. I've reviewed it with my client and given him an opportunity to read it at his own pace.
All right. Any objections to the PSI report, state?
No, Your Honor.
Defense, any
No, you-
objections?
No, you're not.
All right. State, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Defense, any witnesses?
Mr. Kennedy, please.
All right, Mr. Cannady, if you can raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record, please.
My name is James Michael Cannady.
All right. Counsel?
Mr. Kennedy, would you say this event with your daughter finding it out about cerebral palsy and having her removed from your presence because of lack of proper nutrition was a real eye opener to you?
It was.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, could everyone please whisper? And counsel, if you could speak up for me, please.
And during the first 10 years of Michelle's life, did you think there was anything unusual about her not being able to eat solid foods? Well, other than that, she probably should have.
Given her state with cerebral palsy, I didn't know.
And the primary caretaker, Michelle, was Norma, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you live with Norma, you're not married to her.
Yes, sir.
Did Norma ever have any complaints to you about something she wasn't allowed to do for Michelle?
No, sir.
And you've read the report and you're happy with Miss, I can't do her name, Sitsu, the foster mother?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I read you the expert. Do you agree with what she wrote?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. And do you want the best for your daughter?
I do, yes, sir.
And you've had a hearing in CPS court on Valentine's Day where you gave an affidavit of relinquishment of your parental rights?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. So do you feel sorry for what you either did or failed to do for your daughter?
At the time, I wasn't aware, but yes, I do.
Okay. So you realize the judge is probably going to send you to prison.
Yes, I do.
Are you asking for something maybe in the 20-year range as opposed to 35?
I am asking for leniency.
Okay. No further questions. That's a prosecutor. You may want to ask me something.
All right, in just one moment, my email went down. I did have the PSI report up, but the PSI report has disappeared on my system. All right.
Yes, sir. Just a few, if I may. Mr. Kennedy, my name is Zach Dunn. I'm one of the prosecutors in the Family Violence Division. I should have a few questions for you, and some of it goes to your statements in the PSI, which is the report that the judge is looking at right now. You basically mentioned on kind of the last page of it that you really kind of didn't know or were unsure of the fact. You said you had ignorance of your daughter's condition. She was diagnosed with cerebral palsy at birth, though, correct?
I do not know.
With respect to her abilities, things she was able to do, did you notice any kind of comparison between her and other 10-year-olds?
Actually, comparison between her and when I was going through high school, I noticed that there was children that were similar.
And are you aware of how much she weighed as a 10-year-old when the police came to the residence for the first time?
I believe she was at 27 pounds, but I can't remember.
27 pounds as a 10-year-old. Does that seem normal to you or abnormal to you?
I do not know. I mean, when I remember how there were others that were her age, more or less, even, and when I was going through high school, I saw that they were about her size.
You're saying when you went through high school personally,
When I went through high school,
you knew of 10-year-olds that were around 20 pounds in weight, or
we went to the kitchen cafeteria, and I saw others that were rolled around in wheelchairs that were about the same size.
and what did you make of the fact that Michelle, again, a 10-year-old, was unable to speak and barely even move when the police first interacted with her coming on scene? Is that normal behavior, you think, for a 10-year-old?
I think given that she had cerebral palsy, that it was normal.
And with respect to her diet, do you think it's appropriate to feed someone Oreos, milk, and Kool-Aid to sustain their life as a 10-year-old with cerebral palsy?
Michelle could not eat solid, so she couldn't even eat Oreos.
Okay, but at the time, does it surprise you, or is it surprising to hear now that y'all's statements at the time on scene was that, again, you fed her Kool-Aid, milk, and Oreos?
At that time, given that Norma was taken to her to the doctors, and that the doctors were aware of what was going on, I thought everything was okay. Given that now I know that it's not okay, because that could have all been avoided with the surgery of a G tube, gastrostomy tube.
You said you know about that now.
I do.
So if police had never come and CPS was never involved, what do you think the future of Michelle's life would look like? Again, at the time, she weighed 27 pounds as a 10-year-old. That was a few years ago.
Well, she did lose a lot of weight due to her being sick. It wasn't due to lack of us providing nutrition. It was due to her being sick that she lost weight.
No further questions, Ron.
All right,
That's
any
it, Sharon.
follow-up?
No follow-up,
All right, may I
Right.
ask a question?
please.
All right, why was she never placed back in school?
When she was originally taken out of school due to the coronavirus.
All right, and then after
when
that?
we attempted to take her back to school, she could never keep the mask on. She would keep constantly pulling it off. And then they told her to no longer go back to school.
I'm sorry, what?
They told her not to go back to school until she could take care of that.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the trial court certification form. Just 1 second. I'll have it. All right, so you're saying that they didn't allow her to come back to school because she continued to pull off her mask.
Yes, ma'am.
And the offense date on this is 2023. So help me, in 2023, were students still required to wear a mask?
I do not know. Your Honor.
All right, so you didn't take her back to school in the year of 2023.
No, Your Honor.
And I read the PSI report, and it said that you had personal insurance.
I did. Oh, I did.
All right, so at that time you had personal insurance, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
How often had she seen a doctor?
I believe the last time she saw the doctor was in 2020. And I believe it was on a either annual or dual-annual checkup. I left that all to Norma to take care of.
All right, so the last time she saw a doctor was in 2020.
Yes, I believe so.
So did your wife, Norma, have the insurance card to take her to a doctor?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so
No,
you
it's
had
not
the,
his wife, they just live together.
all right, so the person you lived with, were you in a romantic relationship with them?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And were you all living together as boyfriend and girlfriend or husband and wife?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and so you left her in charge of taking care of your child?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is she the biological mother of that child?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so you didn't give her your insurance card to take her to the doctor for emergencies?
I never was issued one. Everything was done electronic.
All right, so since 2020, you never took your child to the hospital, emergency rooms, or to see a pediatrician?
Personally, I haven't. I do not know what Norma has done.
All right, did you ever ask her, hey, she's not eating right, something's going wrong? Have you taken her to the doctor?
This will actually all happen recent, like because she got sick because of everything that happened. We took her to the hospital to Christus Santa Rosa at first. And
When was that? Was that in 2023?
yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'm talking about before 2023. Unless, and if I'm wrong, correct me. And I won't take offense to you correcting me. It appears that this is something that was happening over time. Am I right? The fact that she's not gaining weight, she's not eating?
No, Your Honor. The way we were giving her nutrition over the time period from her birth until the time that she got sick was the same constant method.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden she gets sick and she lost the weight.
So what was her highest weight? Because this is saying that she was 27 pounds at 10. So before she started dropping all of the weight, what was her weight as a 10-year-old?
I believe it was either at 40 or 45 pounds.
So 45 pounds, and then all of a sudden she's at 27 pounds.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you didn't think to take her to the doctor when she dropped down to 30 pounds?
I would be at work, so when I would come home, I'd always want to try to sleep or relax just before sleeping.
All right, and how far did you go in school?
For school, I graduated from St. Philip's College.
Okay,
I got my certificates for aircraft and power plant.
all right, thank you. Any other questions, defense?
No, Your Honor.
State, any other questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, the court will hear argument. The state is opposed to the application. State?
Your Honor, this is an individual that essentially the state doesn't believe has taken responsibility. The litany of I don't knows and I'm not sure. This doesn't replace the fact that you're talking about a 10-year-old who had, as the medical facility diagnosed her with, quote, extreme prolonged malnourishment. 10-year-olds are somewhere in the range of above 70 pounds. This is a 27-pound individual who, through the defendant's own words, was fed Oreos, Kool-Aid, and milk. As if being a child wasn't a vulnerable enough position to be in the world, to be diagnosed with cerebral palsy at birth and have parents that don't take you because their insurance quote has expired and knew about the, well, first they knew about the diagnosis, but then they didn't know about the diagnosis, as they later said. The state would, of course, respectfully request that, the court take all these factors into consideration, given how this person completely disregarded the health of a young girl for many years on end, Your Honor.
All right, defense?
This case has a certain horribleness factor, especially to me as a parent. I can't imagine not feeding your child, and this is my second sentencing on this crime in a week.
Yes.
So I didn't know that many people weren't feeding their child. In representing my client, he's basically been clueless. I've had a very difficult time getting to him to understand what he did or did not do and what he should have done or should not have done. That doesn't condone what happened to his daughter. One thing I don't understand is how she went to healthcare providers and no one noticed anything, especially on the day in which she was taken to a healthcare provider a second time, and that's when she was taken into police custody, CPS custody. Okay, and you have terminated your parental rights, is that correct, sir?
Yes.
That's it, John.
All right, one final question. So what were you eating?
I would eat out a lot.
Okay. And did your weight ever drop at normally low?
No, Your Honor.
And how much did you weigh?
Before I was at 277.
All right, so if your weight went from 277 down to 100 pounds or 90 pounds, would you go to the doctor?
I would find out what's going on, yes.
Okay. All right, the court is going to deny your application. The court will find you guilty. I understand that there may have been other issues at play here as far as maybe the mother was in charge of taking care of your daughter and during the day-to-day. So I am taking that into consideration. I'm going to sentence you to 34 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served. There's an affirmative finding of family violence. There's to be no contact with the complainant. There's to be no unsupervised contact with minors. I'm going to show you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it?
Which time? Yes, Judge.
All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we can go off the record. Mr. Cannady, I understand that you're probably hurt by what happened to your daughter. I do understand that. But children are 100% dependent upon adults. They're dependent on them to feed them. They're dependent on them to clothe them and for them to be educated. And you can't say your responsibility, I'm just outside working, somebody else is taking care of my daughter and I'm not noticing anything. You understand?
I understand, Your Honor, and I wish I did really know what was going on, like when CPS came by, my caseworker, she gave me all this paperwork
Mhm.
and I was reviewing it. It was at that moment that I understood.
In 2022 CR 8626A, State of Texas versus Mayor Lisa Janelle Bell. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Attorney Bill Simmons for defense.
And are you Ms. Bell?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you review the document entitled Motion to Revoke Community Supervision with your attorney? Did you understand it? Excuse me, no talking behind the court reporter while we're on the record?
Yes,
And did you understand it?
yes,
Are you the same Mayor Lisa Janelle Bell who was placed on community supervision in 2022 CR 8626A for the offense of possession of a controlled substance penalty group 1 gram to 4 grams on December 1st, 2022 for a period of 4 years? Is that you?
yes, ma'am.
All right, state.
Violation of condition number 4, in Bexar County, Texas, the defendant, Marlissa Janelle Bell, the then and there failed to report the supervision officer as directed for the month of June 2024 in violation of condition number 4.
How do you plead to that? True or not true?
On the supplemental motion, violation of condition number
Just
6.
1 second. Court does not have a supplemental motion. Who has the supplemental motion? All right. Did you review the supplemental motion with your attorney? Did you understand that motion?
Yes, yes,
That's what we discussed. We won't push.
All right, did you review the supplemental motion?
Yes, Judge, we did review.
All right, you may proceed, state.
Violation of condition number 16, on or about the 19th day of July 2024 in Bexar County, Texas. The defendant, Marlissa Janelle Bell, did then and there contact or attempt to contact Jacob Ziegler in person in violation of condition number 16.
How do you plead to that? True or not true?
Get away with the other allegations.
Any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
Did you understand by pleading true to violations 4 and 6, the court could find it true, grant the motion, and sentence you to 4 years in the prison?
yes, ma'am.
Knowing that, do you still wish to plead true to violation 4 and 16? I can't hear you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. You understand that if,
Well, I'm sorry,
yes,
just for the courts, if the court hasn't noticed, she is 7 months pregnant, so that's kind of what she's, well, she's here,
I'm here. I'm
but
here,
just
yeah.
tired of this.
oh, well, I noticed, yeah, I noticed she's in yellow.
Yes, sir.
All right. So you do understand if you have some sort of proposed agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow that agreement. Do you understand?
Me?
Yes, do you understand I can revoke you and send you to prison for 4 years?
Yes, ma'am. I
Do you
understand.
understand that the fact that you're currently pregnant plays no role in that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So is there a proposed agreement?
No, Your Honor.
All right, state, what are you requesting?
It's requesting revocation.
Defense, what are you requesting?
Your Honor, we're asking the court to give, she has, we're asking the court to continue her on her probation. She does have some new cases that she was charged with in Comal County. However, she is on PR bond for those because they were not indicted in the proper amount of time. And also, without getting into the facts of those, but she was in the car with someone else. And it's my understanding in my conversations with her that they're making verification of that and that they may or may not be proceeding with that, judge. But I do not want to represent to the court that I anticipate them being dismissed because I simply cannot say that at this time. Would that be accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but but we are asking the court to take, given that she did so well on the first year of this probation, if the court looks at her MTR, she didn't have any failed tests. She did successfully complete her outpatient, her intensive outpatient treatment. She has that certificate. We verified that with probation. She's also expressed a willingness to me that she would like to possibly get some additional treatment. But given her condition, it's my understanding that at this time, she wouldn't be accepted into safety or one of those at this time. And so what we're asking the court at this time to do is to continue her and to possibly follow up with her sometime around February to see where they stand with the cases in Comal. She did plead true to not reporting in June, which is true. She did not report in June. But again, she kind of fell off the wagon and also made contact with the gentleman that she was ordered not to make contact with. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that kind of fell, but that also seems to have resulted in a pregnancy. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're leaving ourselves to the mercy of the court, but she is a motivated probationer. She did fall off the wagon. Where she's been since May is in the Comal County Jail. There was a warrant put out by this court. They brought her over here. And so we're asking the court to give consideration to continuing her on her probation. In the absence of that, we would ask the court to consider adjudicating her and continuing on her probation.
All right.
But we are leaving it to the court.
All right. Any objection to the court reviewing the court summary?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Do you want to raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You can lower your hand. So the court ordered that you have no contact with Jacob Ziegler. Why are you having contact with him?
He reached out to me.
I'm sorry, what?
He reached out to me, and I shouldn't have put everything, and I'm sorry.
No. There's no need to apologize. So he reached out to you and you knew you were looking at 4 years prison time, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So you did a weighing of you did a balancing test and you said, I can't have contact with Jacob Ziegler. And if I do, I'm looking at 4 years in prison, but he's worth it. And then according to the court summary, your brother-in-law is taking care, I guess your brother-in-law and his wife are taking care of 2 of your children. Is that correct?
My brother-in-law, no, it's my aunt.
Oh, okay. So your aunt is taking care of 2 of your children.
3, I have 3.
3?
Yes, ma'am.
So you have 3 children. You're not taking care of them.
But I have had them. I had them the whole time I was on probation.
But because it says here, on July 17th, the field team conducted a field visit and spoke to Miss Bell's brother-in-law, who stated They had not seen or heard from Miss Bell in over 2 months and had been trying to locate her with no success. Mrs. Bell's brother-in-law also stated that they had been caring for Mrs. Bell's 2 children since she left the home.
Hey, I'm confused on who my brother-in-law is.
Okay.
The name, is it there?
No, the name is not there. But suffice it to say, they've been looking for you for 2 months. So for 2 months, if your children were depending on you to provide them with food so they can live, they would have just starved to death.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. When I fell off, I called my aunt and I let her know. They've been taking care of their.
You call your aunt and let her know, I'm going to go be with this Jacob person because he reached out to me.
No, I let her know that I messed up and that I did get. I did drugs and I was scared and that I didn't want to be around my children that way.
All right. So basically what that means is financially, you were not supporting your children. And if your children were dependent upon you to live, they would not have survived because you're not providing them support. You're just making all of these bad decisions and somebody else is paying for your bad decisions. They're supporting your children. Now you went off with this Jacob person that there was supposed to be no contact with. And the only thing that you've come back with is pregnant with his child. And for the court to say that you to have no contact with him, obviously he was not a good person to be in your life.
You're right.
All right. So the court is finding violations 4 and 6 true. The court is going to grant the motion, revoke you. And the court is going to sentence you to 4 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served. There's to be no contact with Jacob Ziegler. And there's to be no unsupervised contact with minors. Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes.
And did you sign it?
Yes,
Yes.
that's the appeal form.
All right. You have a limited right to appeal. That right to appeal is as it relates to the allegations in the motion, not the fact that you were on community supervision. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. I'll recommend the therapeutic community for her. I have no jurisdiction to place you in the therapeutic community, but if you ask for it, they will place you in it.
Yeah.
Oh, just ask at the prison and let them know.
Yeah.
All right, we can go off the record. Here's the thing. Everybody wants little babies when they're born because they're so cute. So you had better reach out to your family because Child Protective Services is going to come knocking at the prison. So unless you have someone,
My aunt's taking care of my kids.
all right, so you need to let your aunt know and counsel if you can get in contact with her aunt because time when that baby is delivered, she needs to have somebody there that's been pre-approved by Child Protective Services to take the child. All right, good luck to you.